You know how people say life moves in a circle and that karma is a boomerang? I think this story is one of the best examples of it, and the story starts in 1997 with this man. In 1997, a question paper got leaked in Odisha, and around 1,500 students marched towards the state secretariat in Bhubaneswar to protest against it, led by this man who was then a young student leader. The protest was very peaceful, but the police answered it with a lathi charge. People who personally knew him says that he was beaten up so badly that he suffered multiple fractures. But who was even he? At that time, he was the National Secretary of the ABVP, and today he is Dharmendra Pradhan, the Education Minister of India. Just look at the irony here. Years ago, he himself was beaten by the police for protesting an exam paper leak. And today, he is the Education Minister, and in 2026, history came a full circle. Students protesting under the exam paper leak were once again met with the lathis under his own government. And this is what he said about those students. He called the movement a B team of terrorists trying to divide the country.
जो लोग देश को टुकड़े टुकड़े करना चाहते हैं वही लोग आज डफली बजा रहे हैं जंतर मंतर में। ये तो दहशतगर्दों का बी टीम है।
So, this is what the police did to the protesters on 20th of July. A senior police officer slapping a young woman, a 10-year-old boy being hit,
लाठीचार्ज हुआ था उसी में मेरे चोट लगी।
a 16-year-old boy being beaten with lathis.
मैं 16 साल का हूँ, मैं JEE की प्रिपरेशन कर रहा हूँ, 11th में हूँ और मैं यहाँ पे वही सपोर्ट करने आया था CJP को, जो उनका नैरेटिव है उसको। मैं सबसे आगे चल रहा था, हम लोग आगे जाते आ रहे थे, अचानक से लाठीचार्ज हुआ, सब लोग पीछे भागने लग गए। एंड टू सेव ऑल द गर्ल्स आउट देयर, मैं थोड़ा सा पीछे जिनको बोला जल्दी जाओ जिसकी वजह से मैं थोड़ा लेट हो गया। एंड मेरे ऊपर लाठीचार्ज हुआ, मेरे को 2-3 घंटे लगातार मारे गए पैर पे, हाथ पे। एंड आई कांट इवन इमेजिन द पेन नाउ बिकॉज एक ही जगह मुझे बहुत जोर से पेन हो रही है अभी।
People being beaten even while they were running away from the spot, men in plain clothes carrying lathis and beating people, police officers with no name badges.
नेम प्लेट गिर गया है मैडम का भी, इनका भी गिर गया है, देख लीजिए इनके चेहरे आराम से, इन मैडम का भी नेम प्लेट गिर गया है।
A police lathi with nails fixed into it. And perhaps the most disturbing part of all, police hitting a woman on her private parts and then laughing about it. But there was also another side to the story as well. Protesters spraying pepper spray on the police who were simply standing in the line, and RAF officers surrounded and beaten by the crowd, and another officer rushing in to pull him out and beating other people. So today I want to look at honestly what happened on 20th of July. And before you pick a side, somebody has to actually sit down and check what is real and what is not. That is what we are going to do today. And I will tell you now, when you check honestly, neither side comes out clean. Very quickly, so we can get to the point, in 2026, the NEET exam, the one test that decides who becomes a doctor in India, was leaked and cancelled, and the CBI began making a lot of arrests.
नीट पेपर लीक मामले में कुल 13 आरोपी गिरफ्तार किए गए हैं फिलहाल।
A large youth movement grew out of that anger, and yes, this is the group that jokingly calls itself the Cockroach Janata Party, but that story is for another video. I'll tell you another day. But what matters here is that on 20th of July, they marched towards the parliament, and that march ended in tear gas and lathis. One more thing, paper leaks are not new in India. According to one newspaper's count, there have been more than 50 major exam paper leaks in the last 8 years, affecting over 1 crore students. So students protesting against a paper leak is neither new nor unusual in India. Now let me start with the protesters because that's only fair. This was not a completely peaceful crowd. Some protesters threw stones at the police. Police officers were sprayed with pepper spray when they were just simply standing there. One officer was surrounded and beaten by a mob before another officers came in and rescued him. Bottles and slippers were also thrown at the police. The police said nearly 180 people were injured that day, and according to them, 118 were police people and around 60 were the protesters. More than 70 people were also detained. So let me be very clear, throwing stones at the police is wrong. Attacking the police officer is absolutely wrong. And on top of it, they were also marching towards the parliament, which is a security threat. So what can the police do here to control the situation? Even if the protesters throw stones at the police, even if they provoke the police intentionally, the police are not allowed to do whatever they want in return. There are written rules for them. Let me read them. When the police are trying to disperse a crowd, the law says they should use as little force as possible, only the amount needed to bring the situation under control. The police manuals say the same thing. A lathi charge should be the last resort. People should be warned before it even begins, and officers are expected to avoid hitting vulnerable parts of the body like the head and the collarbone. Now just compare those rules with what we saw on the ground. Children were being hit, people were beaten even when they were running away from the spot, head injuries for a lot of people, broken bones. It's difficult to call that the minimum force needed to control the crowd. And this is not just my opinion. I'm telling you, the Supreme Court has dealt with a very similar situation before. In the Anita Thakur case, some protesters had even thrown stones at the police. But the court still ruled that the police had continued using force even after it was no longer necessary. It said that the police had misused their power and ordered a compensation for the injured protesters. In other words, even if a protest turns violent, that does not give the police unlimited power to use force. They still have to act within the law, which is not what happened on the 20th of July. Instead, the police were beating the shit out of the protesters, including women and children. See, the protesters also made a lot of mistakes. Let's start with their demands first so that you'll understand the full picture. This began as a protest against the NEET exam paper leak. Students wanted accountability and changes in the education system. But one of the biggest demands soon became the resignation of the education minister. Personally, I don't completely agree with the demand, because making one minister resign does not automatically fix the system. Paper leaks have happened under different governments before and different ministers also. The real problem is the system itself, not the minister. Unless that changes, replacing the one person with another person does not guarantee anything. And then there was another problem in the protest. The conversation slowly stopped being about NEET. See, I followed this protest almost every day, and as time went on, I heard less about the education reforms and more about the national politics. Arvind Kejriwal visited the protest. Actor Prakash Raj addressed the crowd, and we know what he's standing for. Comedian Kunal Kamra spoke at the protest and made comments that many Hindus found insulting.
पहले तो मैं कहना चाहूँगा कि ये जो सरकार है, ये जो कर रही है, ये बहुत सालों से कर रही है, और हमने देखा है कि ये लोग बस सीता के पति का नाम ले लेके नीता के पति का काम कर रहे हैं.
There were also speeches against the removal of the Article 370. There were literally speeches about the FCRA law. Some protesters raised slogans in support of Umar Khalid. See, whether you agree or disagree with any of these views is not at all the point here. The point is that none of these issues had anything to do with fixing the NEET examination system. The longer the protest continued, the more these political debates took over, and the original demand slowly moved into the background. That's why many people started saying this was no longer just about a student's movement. And I also don't think that criticism is completely unfair looking at all the things that are happening there. Large protests often attract the political parties, activists, and people with their own agendas. See, in 2017, Tamil Nadu protested against the Jallikattu ban, one of the biggest youth protests India has ever seen. I personally participated in that protest for 5 days, and I'm telling you, in the 2017 Jallikattu protest in Tamil Nadu, students repeatedly asked the political leaders to stay away because they wanted to keep the movement focused on one demand. That did not happen here in the Jantar Mantar protest. And finally, we also have to question the leadership here. Abhijit Deepke announced the first hunger strike, and it ended within 2 days after he said he was suffering from severe migraine issues.
नहीं भूख हड़ताल मैं तो मुझे नहीं लगता यार मेरे बस की माइग्रेन का प्रॉब्लम है यार. मेरी माँ तो वही बोलती है कि तेरे को टाइम पर खाना ना आ जाए, तू सर पकड़ लेता है अपना क्या कर रहा है तो अभी
Sonam Wangchuk then took over the hunger strike, indefinite fast, and went on without food for 20 plus days. This is where the movement actually started getting a lot of attention. But when Wangchuk was taken away by the police, forcefully of course, Deepke announced another hunger strike that too ended within 2 days. When Sonam Wangchuk was on a hunger strike, this guy who started it all was enjoying hard pakoras. While students were still being lathi charged, one of the party's official spokespersons was seen eating a burger. When people questioned him, he put out literally a video saying that he was free to enjoy his burger and that he would not take responsibility for everything happening at the protest.
मैंने बर्गर क्यों खाया आज का ये बड़ा मुद्दा है तो कोई भी इंसान बर्गर क्यों खाता उसे भूख लगी हो उसका बर्गर खाने का मन हो that's it.
The backlash was immediate for this burger issue and the party later removed him from the spokesperson's position. But that also raises a bigger question here. When the students were being beaten by the police, where was Abhijit Deepke? Where was the party spokesperson? Where were the other leaders who had been making headlines for the past 20 days? For weeks, they were the faces of the entire movement. They were all over the social media, but on the day ordinary students were facing lathi charges, those famous faces were nowhere to be seen in the confrontation. Maybe there's an explanation for this, maybe they have an explanation and maybe there is not. But it's still a fair question to ask. If the leadership is asking thousands of students to come to the streets, shouldn't the leadership also be standing with them? And things go wrong? Now let's say the organizers are politically motivated. Some people at the protest may have come with their own political agenda. Some people may have wanted to provoke violence also. Political parties may have tried to use the moment for their own benefit. None of that is impossible in India, we all know. But even if all of that is true, it still does not answer the biggest question. Why were thousands of young people on the streets in the first place? They were not just party workers, they were students, parents, and ordinary young people who had lost trust in the system after another major paper leak. Yes, some people may try to take advantage of the protest. I'm not denying that. That happens in almost every large movement. But people can only take advantage when there is already a real problem. If the NEET paper leak had never happened, let's say, if students had trusted the examination system that we have already, this movement would never have grown into this size. You cannot dismiss every protester as anti-national just because some people at the protest had political views that we all don't agree with. See, you cannot reduce thousands of young Indians, angry young Indians, to being puppets of one political party. That's not going to take you anywhere. The government has responsibility to listen to the people as well. What was stopping the authorities from sitting down with the students and having a conversation? What was stopping them from just saying, hey, a mistake has just happened and we are trying to fix it? That conversation should have happened long before tear gas and lathis. I've seen this happen before in Tamil Nadu also, I'm telling you. There's a senior BJP leader called H. Raja. In my opinion, he has done more damage to the BJP's image in Tamil Nadu than many of its political opponents. Why? Because whenever people question the party's decisions, his response was often the same thing again and again. You are anti-national.
You are anti-Indian. I'm not prepared to answer you. You are anti-Indian. You are anti-Indian.
After a point, it became literally a joke. People started making memes saying anti-national, anti-national. If we ask anything, these people will only call us anti-national. And that's exactly the problem. You cannot call every person anti-national just because they're asking questions you do not like. Let's say if someone is breaking the law, take action against them. If someone is spreading violence in the country, arrest them. But if someone is asking a genuine question about some education system or any other system, answer that question. Because if you keep calling every critic anti-national, people eventually stop believing in you. In fact, it ends up hurting your own party, your own governance more than anyone else. I want to quote a honorable Prime Minister here.
और ये मेरा कन्विक्शन है, ये सिर्फ शब्द नहीं है. मैं मानता हूं डेमोक्रेसी की अगर उत्तम से उत्तम कोई ब्यूटी है तो वो क्रिटिसिज्म है।
So by the government's own standard, its own words, these students are not the enemy. Calling them terrorists is not an answer to the question they are asking. I say this with respect for the government, not against it. And it's that respect that makes me say it should hold itself to the standard it set for itself. So let me end this by speaking to both sides. If you are someone who supports this protest because you genuinely want changes in the education system of our country, I absolutely respect that. I would come to the street protest with you. Speaking up for your rights is not at all wrong, but be careful about who you choose to follow. A movement can start with a genuine cause and still attract people with very different political agendas. Do not blindly believe anyone just because they are standing on the same stage as you. Check who these leaders actually are. Check their background. Check what they are trying to say. Check the slogans they are rising in the protest that you're fighting for. Check whether those slogans have anything to do with the cause that you are fighting for. In a separate video, I'll talk in detail about the background of the CJP leaders using publicly available information, not some propagandas by the way, but that's for another day. For today, my only request is this: do not outsource your thinking to anyone. Now let me speak to those who oppose this protest and support the government. This is very important because please remember that protesting is not anti-national, it is constitutional right. People have every right to question the government when they believe something has gone wrong. You can support the BJP and still question the government. There is absolutely no wrong in that. You can be a nationalist and still demand accountability. Those two things are not opposites. In fact, that's how a healthy democracy is supposed to work. The government should answer the genuine question with facts, not with the labels, not by calling everyone anti-national, and certainly not with lathis. Finally, one request to everyone watching this video: do not believe me just because I made this documentary. I tried my best to verify every claim before putting it out here. Whenever I could not verify anything, I also said that I could not verify this. But even then, do not stop with this video. Read, verify, question me, question the government, question the organizers of the protest, question everyone. Because the day we stop asking questions is the day democracy starts becoming weaker, and I hope we never reach that day.